Hey there, John here. Want to talk to you a little bit about post-COVID and the summer of 2020. What we do to get some business back in the salons in the dog days. So, I hope that you've already got some plans. If you don't, maybe this will help you. And I think the thing is that we have to get away from some kind of a negative feeling that the whole year is lost or whatever, and not just give up and walk away. There's business to be made here in July and August, and that's what I want to talk to you about. So, um, business to be made if I can make this PowerPoint work. Yes. Anyway, so first of all, what I want to talk about is what did we learn from COVID-19 2020? Uh, there's some things that we have to really accept about COVID, and one is that we should never assume any season's business. I think that as an industry, we've been used to saying, well, if third and fourth quarter are less than satisfying, that's okay. Peak season's going to make it up for everything. And typically it does. Peak season is statistically about 65% of the full year's volume. So if you have a really good peak season, and if you've done something with your extended package sales or your EFTs, you can kind of make it through those dog days. But unfortunately, we didn't have a peak season this year. I think the other thing too is that we learned that we should never assume that uh, our tanners, any specific salon's tanners, are your tanners. I had a lady many, many years ago, must have been 15, 20 years ago, that by the time she got a hold of me to help her, her business had dwindled so much. And I asked her one night why, she hadn't done something to correct this before. And she said, I I just knew my tanners, my tanners were coming back. And I think the thing that we have to accept, and this is just not my opinion, this is statistics, is that more than 85% of the people that tan with you in February and March came back, or they came to you or came back to you without a package, without an EFT, without spots or sessions rather that they had bought, whatever. So you can't assume that your tanners are your tanners. Competition and also the way that we operate or the way our industry thinks, and our industry thinks I'm going to tan like crazy during the peak season, and then I get into the off season, other things might be more important to me. Maybe it's the way that we've set up the way we sell our packages. I don't know. But you can't assume that your tanners are your tanners and you're going to have them back for sure. One of the things that we know is that pre-planning is always the secret to success. I have to tell you, I don't even know what the number is anymore. From last November through the end of or February, it was 56, and then I think in late April, probably another 20 or 25 came in for help. And one of the things that I saw that was almost endemic, whether it was here in the States or up in the provinces, is that the preparation and getting ready for the doors to be back open again, for permission from the provincial authorities or the state governors down here, the planning just wasn't there. I mean, we would have people that were kind of sitting on their hands waiting for a state or a province to open. And typically, we were given like 2 days. So I'd have clients that would say, oh, my state opens this, call on a Wednesday and say, my state opens on Friday. But they hadn't done anything. We've been trying to do things to get them set up. That's one of the things that is really, really just amazed me, is that how much sitting around and waiting for things to happen that salon owners were doing when you had all this downtime during COVID. Now, as it worked out, we had a lot of clients that weren't doing that, so we were very busy. But there were so many people that just sat there and said, no, wait to see what this state says or that province says or whatever. And then, wow, next thing you know, 48 hours we're open. So I think pre-planning is the secret to success, whether it's in this July, August period or it's in the later in the fall, or it's for peak 2021, which is one of the things we should be thinking about. The other thing we should be thinking about, what we learned, is that key employees are critical as captains of your ship, if you will. When you need loyalty and leadership, you need the good ones to stay around. And so I saw in several cases, some in large chains, where some of the most critical employees were not taken care of during COVID, not even communicated with. And so we had salons that were going to open up 48 hours later, and a key person that would be the anchor or the captain of that salon didn't feel like they were important. So it's one of the things I hope that we learned, is that taking care of employees is, I could tell you right now, I know of a chain that couldn't open up when the state first opened up about 4 weeks ago. They couldn't open up 2/3 of their salons because they didn't have employees to come back. Part of it was the stimulus monies that were being paid, yes, but part of it was their indifference to the owners. That's a whole other story, and then I'll cover that sometime in one of my management webinars. And so it really comes down to that. One of the worst parts was that, and I would say, if you're in trouble, seek help quickly. I think that sometimes people hesitate, bigger chains, single salons, they hesitate to contact a consultant because their egos won't let them admit that they need some help. Look, there's things about what everybody out there does that I'm not an expert on. Don't ask me to change an acrylic or to relamp a bed. I've done them a couple times, but I'm not an expert at it. I'm not a super expert at buying equipment, although I know some equipment that works well. If you want me to fix your T-Max, I can't do it. But everything else that affects your revenues, I've done it many, many times. So I would say, put your egos aside with somebody that has done it more than 500 times, 500 different individual salon owners I've dealt with. And that's just something to think about. So, okay. So, and when you talk about, getting some help, one of the things that I want to show you, that this is just very recently, this is two people that didn't wait to get some help. I could have 7 or 8 more slides up here of people that didn't, but these are two very recent and are still ongoing. One is Lisa Angelis up in BC, Canada, and wow, the time that she's having right now is incredible, and so she felt inspired to give me a meme on what she had done. And also down below, we're talking about Tammy Morris. Now, Lisa's business was fairly good, and then what we've done with a huge radio campaign and other things with her pricing memberships, I think we've helped her business considerably. Tammy Morris was the one that called me and said that she was 4 months behind in her rent, and she was getting ready to go out of business. And you see what she has to say down there. She had her first 2 weeks when Ohio opened were fantastic, and she's still going very, very strong. And of course, her whole life has turned around because of it. All right, so let's get down to July and August. And if I can get my PowerPoint to work again. Okay, here we go. All right, so what should we do in July and August 2020 to get our business back? What are the critical objectives now? Let's put COVID behind us. There's nothing we can do about that now. But what do we do about July and August? And unfortunately, a lot of people in this business, they walk away from July and August. It's a downtime, and I guess we'll just let's take an extended vacation, honey, and they don't really worry about it. But to get some of your business back, excuse me, just about anything that you do to improve your July-August business will be plus sales from where you were last year, and will help you get you into the fourth quarter, October, November, December, get you ready for peak 2021. I think peak 2021 is going to be absolute killer. I think COVID will be behind us. The rioting and protesting and looting will be behind us. The election will be behind us. January, February, March of 2021 is going to, I think it's just going to be a record first quarter of a year. But the critical objectives now are CNC. Well, what's CNC? CNC stands for customers and cash. Now, I'm a guy that has always talked about EFTs. And I still talk about EFTs. But the reality is that not anywhere near as many people are going to be buying EFTs in July and August. And I understand that. What you need after COVID, you need customers back in the store and you need cash. So, second, fall season 2020 preparation and do it now. People that came to us, their first entry to us was in late January and early February. And I have all of this blonde hair up here, but I'm surprised I'm not bald because they would call in mid-February wanting help with their EFT pricing and their marketing and their staffing. And by that time, the horse is out of the barn galloping down, the road. And so, don't think about that you can put off your fall season 2020 for another, 3 months because it'll be on us sooner than you think. And also, we have to think about how do we lock in our best returning employees. Now, I'm going to cover this in a separate webinar, but one of the things that really works well, specifically for your best employees, is to set up a private special arrangement with them that they'll get a specific incentive if they stay with you all the way through the end of December. Now, chances are, if they do that, they're probably going to be with you for peak season. And as you get well into the fall, you can set up an additional incentive for them for staying with you through May. But this is for a select group of employees. There's only going to be a couple here and there, maybe as we call it, an anchor or a captain of that store, somebody that's working 30, 35 hours a week. That's really a killer. So that's one of the things to think about is how do we lock in employees and make sure that they're there. That was one of the big issues, of course, that we had with COVID is that, and not just because they were getting an additional incentive from the government, but some of them, we just couldn't get the key employees back because they were doing something else or whatever. They didn't have an incentive to come back maybe. Okay, so moving on. Membership EFT selling is, of course, ideal. But for the next 60 days, getting feet in the salon and butts in beds takes precedent. So I talk about EFTs all the time. You guys have heard me talk about EFTs, but I have to tell you right now, let's just get people in the door. That quote brought to you by a famous consultant. Anyway, so the immediate marketing to take advantage of pent-up tanning consumers. What I find a lot of times in July and August, people stop doing marketing, whether that's on social or email or whatever. They just somehow get into this acceptance that July and August are going to be weak months. And I have to tell you, it's a self-serving prophecy if you're not out there in the consumer's face. Now, all the time that you're out there, particularly on social media, shouldn't always be just deals. That's important to get feet in the door, but you have to build your audience base, particularly on Facebook and on Instagram. And sometimes that means putting out posts that have not a lot to do with tanning, have to do a lot with, say, with women's issues. And if you followed some of my webinars in the past, you'll see that we talk about specific women's issues that you can be talking about on your posts that'll get people to want to follow you. Building your audience reach is super important. Also, customer service incentives. It's time now for you to take and segment your customer base. Find out those people, well, specifically those people that tanned with you in July and August of last year. And your software should be able to tell you that. You can put in a date range of July and August of 2019 and see those people that tanned with you. Those would be the people you specifically want to go after with some of your marketing. Not that you don't want to market to everybody, but I would do something very special for those July and August tanners of last year to make sure we get them back in. And even if they only tanned 4 times in each month, even if they had bought a package of sessions or a 30-day and not an EFT, we got to have them back in the door. Now, also, and I'll cover some things that you can do for that in just a minute here, but continued safety conspicuousness. I don't know whoever came up with that word. It's got to be at least a 50 center, but I don't know. It's not possible in playing crossword. I don't think that's too long of a word. Anyway, COVID may not be over. In some states, as you've seen now, there's been some flare-ups in Texas and Florida and a couple other states. And of course, the news, the news media loves to talk about that kind of thing because it gets a big audience. They can sell more advertising. So yeah, I'm not saying that it's not real, that there aren't more cases. I don't know if it's because of more testing, if it's because of all of this non-social distancing and protests, or if it was that the bars are open in Texas or Florida and they were all having a great time and whatever. As you know, most of the new infections that were found are between 20 and 30 years old, whatever, but they could be carriers. So I can understand where people are worried about COVID. Is COVID going away? Is it dying? And, people are hearing about it. So you want to continue to be very conspicuous about your safety measures. I'd put that, by the way, on your social media. Show what your cleaning is, that your, I've had a couple people do videos, Devana and Sean out in Absolute Sun. Sean did a great little video showing, kind of a cute, kind of funny, but how thorough they are in cleaning beds, and that's really important. Dan Squarkham at Funtan up in South Bend went to extremes to show customers how much they're doing for their safety, and this is important right now, is to be that way. Okay, so let's get to some things. Right now for July and August, you need customers and cash. What works? First of all, let's understand the cost to your salon for the concept of free tans. I have people that say to me, I don't want to be giving away tans. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. What are the variable costs for UV tans and sprays? Because they're really cheap. For example, a UV tan, when you amortize one tan, not your fixed cost. We're not amortizing, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about the wear and tear of the bulbs for that one tan, the cleaning the bed up for somebody else's DNA, the little bit of payroll that goes into doing just that one tan. Well, the average cost of that tan is about 80 cents. And even if it's a higher pressure, higher level bed, it's maybe 85 or 90 cents. It might even be lower than that in some cases. So variable costs are super cheap. And so the next thing I want to talk about is, what is my cost of customer acquisition? So when you say, I don't want to give away free tans, okay, think about this. If a free tan or a free tan week, and in a free tan week, if somebody came into your free tan week and tanned 3 times, if they tanned 3 times and that at 80 cents cost you $2.40, that's a super cheap cost of customer acquisition. Now, when I was an executive of the little company called Target Stores, we calculated that all the time. CCA, cost of customer acquisition, CCR, cost of customer retention. These are costs that big companies, big sophisticated companies like Target calculate. Tanning, 80 cents, that's what it cost us. And I want to get into that with you right now, because when I'm going to show you something for you to consider. Consider your per customer average in the summer as quite low. So, example that in a full year, the average salon that comes to us, their per customer average is maybe 120. Every once in a while, we get one at 140. Our average for our clients in 2019 was $158.75. It was a good year, 2019. But that's not the average of outside of our clients. Now, I think our lowest client was 120, $128 or something like that. The highest was 190 or whatever. And there's reasons for both sides of that. But let's say that your PCA is $120 for a full year. Okay, July through December will only be about $40 of that 120 because we do 65% of our volume in the first 6 months and about 35% in the off-peak season. So if you calculate your per customer average for your customers in the July through December, you're not going to see that it's a heck of a lot of money. July and August is even lower. So let's say that July and August, on the average, maybe through freezes or a few sessions you sell or a lotion packet here or there, let's be liberal and say that it's $25 or whatever. It's not a lot of money. And why that's important is because what I'm going to show you will bring you a lot more money than that in July and August. So maybe it's a 30-day BOGO. Now, here's what I mean by 30-day BOGO. You go out and you tell people, buy July and you get August free. Buy July and you get August free. Buy one, get one. Now, if they come in about the second week of July, if you want to extend that to the second week of September, fine. But I wouldn't let it go anything past September. But it's a 30-day BOGO. Buy a 30-day unlimited, get 30 days, but you have to be specific on when that second 30 days end. You don't want people to say, oh, I've got a second 30 days that I didn't have to pay for. I'll use it next February. You don't want that. But even if they buy a 30-day, and let's say that we'll take a middle range piece of equipment, and you could call it gold, platinum, uranium 235, whatever you want to call it. But let's say that that 30-day unlimited is $50. If you sold them 30 days for $50, you took in $50, whereas in July and August, typically, your per customer average might be 25. You're money ahead. And if you sold them that, you probably sold them a packet or a bottle of lotion. Now you're adding up. Instead of 50, maybe you're taking in 70, $80. I don't know, but you're money ahead. Okay, so some other ways to go money ahead is a free tan week. And it's really it should on there say tan free week is what it should say. So it's a specific calendarized date of where they can tan free for that week. Some salons, and we've done a lot of them since some of the salons have opened, some of them do will do only the first couple levels of their equipment. Most of them, though, are just saying because of COVID, they're throwing caution to the wind and just saying you can tan free in any of our equipment for that 1 week, starting on the 29th and ending on the whatever. And what does that do? That gets feet back in the door, which is what we need. You're saying right now, I need to cover my bills. The first thing you need to do, though, is to get feet in the door. If you don't get feet in the door, the concept of covering your bills is superfluous. There's another good word for you, superfluous. Okay, so tan free week has worked very well. Now here's another one, tan till Labor Day. Buy a month, get a month. You can. This is just a different theme on the BOGO, whatever. But tan till Labor Day, and it works. And we got a lot of people doing that. Or how about tan till Halloween? Scary savings. So you get 2 months. You buy 2 months, and you get 2 months free. Now, if they don't start to buy it until the middle of July, there's nothing you can do about that. You know, I wouldn't take them into October to compensate them for that. But so they buy July and August, they get September and October. Now, some people might say, well, wait a minute now, October, we can sell tans for Halloween. But typically, a lot of the tans you sell for Halloween are 3-4 days before they're spray tans. So you're not really losing a whole heck of a lot. And if they bought 2 months and they bought, say, paid $50 for each month, that's $100. $100. If your per customer average for the whole year is 120, by selling that package, you may have made up your whole per customer average for the year. Now, not a lot of people are going to take advantage of that, and I realize July and August, it's the tanning activity is not, but we can't give up on it. You got to try, and you got to have some of these promotions that go out there because you need butts in beds. Uh, okay, so also tan till January. Buy 4 months, get 3 free. Now, you're telling them specifically which months till January 2021. If somebody is still tanning with you in January of 2021, your chances are real good. You're going to sign them up for more tanning in peak season 2021. They're there. They're in your salon tanning in January of 2021. Okay, next, a lotion or product exchange. 50% off a new bottle. Let them bring in anything. Let them bring in I don't care if they brought in a bottle from Walmart, which is, or a thing of copper tone. I don't care if it has an ounce left in the bottle. Take it, sell them a lotion at 50% off. You're going to take the lotion they gave you. You can't use it. You're going to throw it away. And you should throw it away. But even at 50% off with distributor pricing, your net pricing on distributor, you're still making money. If that's what brought them in, and by the way, the interesting thing about where people buy lotions, usually very, very unlikely, it's not human nature for a person to buy a lotion from you and take their tanning experience someplace else. Usually doesn't happen. If they're tanning someplace else and they see one of these opportunities, they may bring it to you. They may want to take that old bottle of lotion they've got. If they come in and they buy a lotion at on an exchange at 50% off, and they take it back to Planet Fitness, hey, at least you got something out of them. They got an experience of coming into your salon, and maybe if the experience in terms of the exchange with you or your employees was good, great. Maybe you keep them. Okay, suspend sign-up fees if you still have them. I would say only right now, I think we've gotten to a point where I think only about 10% of people in the US have a sign-up fee. It's really an anachronistic. There's another big word. It's really the brontosaurus. It inhibits people from signing up for an EFT. And if you have an opportunity to sell an EFT in July and August, wow, I would remove every barrier. I certainly wouldn't want to try to tack on a sign-up fee on top of a pro rate for 1 month and a draw for the next month. You just don't need it. Plus, you don't need your salespeople to be frustrated by not being able to sell an EFT because somebody doesn't want to pay a sign-up fee. The provinces, it's a little different up in Canada. Sign-up fees, they're still getting away from some minute packages up there, but we have some very progressive retailers up there now doing some very good things. Also, a special on EFT payments versus freezes. Now, this is kind of a funky thing to talk about. What? I want to take my EFT payments down? Okay. So what's the worst thing that can happen if someone's on an EFT? The very worst thing is somebody wants to cancel. We dread that. We want people to stay on EFT. So what do? We offer them a freeze. Well, it's $5 a month you can freeze during the summer. If you want to still tan, you can do that, but you'll be paying the single tan price or 50% of the single tan price, whatever. And that's been, that's something that's worked. But maybe there's another thing you can do too. Maybe for the months of July and August, if they're on an EFT and they want to cancel, you don't want to advertise this one, by the way. This one you don't advertise because you don't want to send a message to your memberships that, hey, come on in, I'm going to cut your price in half. But if somebody wants to cancel and they don't even want to freeze, maybe you could try and say, look, I got a deal for you. If you stay on your membership for July and August, I'll take your membership fees and cut them in half for those 2 months only. If they're paying $40 a month or whatever for a membership, I'd rather get the $20 a month for July and August than just getting a $5 freeze. I'd much rather do that. Plus, if they're paying that reduced price, maybe they're coming in more often. And that again's the idea, feet in the door, more opportunities to sell them something else. Maybe get them into an upgraded level where they try a free upgrade So now all of a sudden, even though they're paying a half price on the level they're at right now, maybe you can move them up to another level and it'd be a half price on a higher level and then eventually full price on that higher level when you get into the fall. Okay, so next, free single level upgrades for July and August. I would do that in a heartbeat. Anybody that's tanning, I would offer them, and this I would advertise, a free single level upgrade. If they're tanning at a level 2, just to put a numbers on it, let them tan at level 3. You know, we've got the open beds, right? We've got inventory of tanning segments all available. So why not take the opportunity, tell people that are currently tanning with you in July and August, you can tan for a free upgrade to the next level from where you're at right now, because you just might get somebody that converts to that level full time. Okay, contests. You need feet in the door. So a couple contests just for thought here. The social media cutest dog contest, it works every time. You put up a contest and um, maybe you talk about, well, you can win a month of free tanning, but right below that, I'm talking about tan for the rest of the year. What does it cost you? First of all, they're not going to tan that many times the rest of the year, but even if they did, at your raw cost of, as we talked about above, maybe 80 cents, boy, that's cheap to get people into the door. So, but a contest that you can tan free the rest of the year, that'll get you some notice. I would have them come in and enter in the salon. That gets you traffic in the salon. And so these are all things that, think about. I'm sure that some of you have got some great ideas I haven't thought of. Just because I'm an old fart doesn't mean I know everything, and that's for sure. But right now, we need feet in the door and butts in bed. So if you've got some great ideas, you know, email me, john@johnrfarr, and you'll see it here on this webinar and contact information. And I want to thank you for listening to my strange words and suggestions I have. And I hope in July and August that your figures are much better than July and August of last year to make up maybe a small part of what we lost in COVID. And stay safe. Bye-bye.